Now on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb early while it was still dark, and saw that the stone had been taken away from the tomb. So she ran and went to Simon Peter and the other disciple, the one whom Jesus loved, and said to them, "They have taken the Lord out of the tomb, and we do not know where they have laid him." So Peter went out with the other disciple, and they were going toward the tomb. Both of them were running together, but the other disciple outran Peter and reached the tomb first, and stooping to look in, he saw the linen cloths lying there, but he did not go in. Then Simon Peter came, following him, and went into the tomb. He saw the linen cloths lying there, and the face cloth which had been on Jesus' head, not lying with the linen cloths, but folded up in a place by itself. Then the other disciple, who had reached the tomb first, also went in, and he saw and believed. For as yet they did not understand the scripture that he must rise from the dead. Then the disciples went back to their homes. But Mary stood weeping outside the tomb, and as she wept, she stooped to look into the tomb, and she saw 2 angels in white sitting where the body of Jesus had lain, one at the head and one at the feet. They said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping?" She said to them, "They have taken away my Lord, and I do not know where they have laid him." Having said this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing, but she did not know that it was Jesus. And Jesus said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping? Whom are you seeking?" Supposing him to be the gardener, she said to him, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away." Jesus said to her, "Mary." She turned and said to him in Aramaic, "Rabboni," which means teacher. Jesus said to her, "Do not cling to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father, but go to my brothers and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." Mary Magdalene went and announced to the disciples, "I have seen the Lord," and that he had said these things to her.
I'm struck by the people in the story and what they are doing. First, Mary Magdalene, from Magdala, who in Luke 8, 7 demons were exorcised from. She was a follower and disciple of Jesus, likely a financial contributor to his ministry, an uncanny first person to report Jesus' absence from the tomb. The text indicates in verse 2 that we do not know where they have laid him. So it indicates that there were likely more women with her when she went to the tomb. And upon seeing the empty tomb, she runs to get help. And let's remember from first century culture that running was not a good thing. Anyone with any decency would never have run. This would have required them to hitch up their tunic and show their legs, which would have been considered shameful. But she ran. And let's also remember that her account, her witness, her report would have held half the weight of a man's account. Yet in John's gospel, a woman is the first one to report the empty tomb. A woman who had previously been possessed with demons, delivered from those demons, who followed Jesus and was his disciple, who showed up at the tomb expecting Jesus to be there, was the first to report his absence. Next, I'm struck by Peter and the beloved disciple who we know to be John. These men were not at the tomb early on that Sunday morning. Preparing a body for burial was a woman's job. Yet, when Mary realizes Jesus' body is gone, she runs to get Peter and John. I imagine she was breathless from running. I mean, I would be too. When she tells Peter and John that his body is gone. So they all take off running, a full sprint. And remember that no decent adult in that culture would have run. They would have gotten to the tomb. The text says John first, because I guess he runs faster. And they came to the tomb, this multi-level structure that was dug in solid rock. And they stooped down to realize there's no one in there. No one is alive, and no one's dead. What do they see? Well, they see linen grave clothes and a face scarf folded neatly. Verse 8 then says that the other disciple who reached the tomb first also went in. He saw and believed. Peter and John ran to the empty tomb, saw it does not, in fact, have a dead Jesus in it, and the result of their seeing is belief. And the last person who plays a role in this story is, in fact, not in this story at all, and that's Jesus. He isn't in the tomb, and he isn't mentioned as witnessing this scene unfold. But the very fact that Jesus does not play a part in this particular story is evidence towards his resurrection. Jesus doesn't play a part in the tomb story because he is not dead. Tombs are for dead people, and Jesus isn't dead, though Mary thinks he is. Peter and John think he is, but he isn't. He's alive. His grave clothes do not have a body in them because there is no body to go in them. The face cloth is folded neatly and laid by itself. Someone who is alive must remove grave clothes and fold a headcloth. And though his absence from his deathbed is what speaks the loudest in this story, it's the very presence of the face cloth and the other linen cloths that will change the course of eternity, for they mean there is no body in the grave. Jesus is not dead. He is alive. He is risen. He is risen indeed.